Today, the world lost a voice that didn't just sing, it lifted people's hearts and carried their pain. Reggae music pioneer Jimmy Cliff passes away at 8-1, and that one sentence has left millions in silence. Jimmy Cliff, the man who took the sound of Jamaica and spread it across oceans, is no longer with us. His wife Latifah confirmed that he passed away in Kingston after a seizure followed by pneumonia. But to understand why this loss feels so heavy, you have to know where his story began. Jimmy Cliff was born in 1944, right in the middle of a hurricane, in St. James Parish, Jamaica. He grew up in deep poverty, the eighth of 9 children. But even in all that struggle, there was music inside him waiting to rise at just 6 years old. He stood in a small church and began to sing. No one knew it then, but a legend had just opened his voice. And by the age of 14, he wrote and released Hurricane Hattie, a song that made him famous across Jamaica. A teenager with no money, no connections. Just raw talent and a dream. That dream would soon travel around the world over the next 6 decades. Jimmy Cliff created more than 30 albums, performing in Paris, Brazil, New York, and cities around the globe. Island Records' Chris Blackwell, the same producer who launched Bob Marley, brought him to the UK in hopes of expanding his sound. But then came the moment that changed everything. 1972. The Harder They Come. It wasn't just a movie. It was a cultural earthquake. Jimmy Cliff's role as Ivan Martin showed the world the real Jamaica, the struggle, the streets, the hunger to survive, far beyond beaches and postcards. And through that film, reggae stepped onto the world stage. Songs like Many Rivers to Cross. You Can Get It If You Really Want. Vietnam, which Bob Dylan called the best protest song ever written. And his timeless cover of I Can See Clearly Now for Cool Runnings. These weren't just songs. They were messages. They were stories of pain, hope, identity, and resilience. Jimmy Cliff didn't make music. He made people feel seen. Even in his later years, he never stopped creating. His 2022 album Refugees showed he still had something to say. And in 2010, he entered the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where Wyclef Jean said, "When we saw Jimmy Cliff, we saw ourselves." And today, that light has gone out, his wife wrote. Jimmy, my darling, may you rest in peace. A man born in a storm, who spent his life surviving storms and turned every one of them into music. Today, the world says goodbye to a legend. But the voice he gave us, the spirit he carried, the generations he inspired, will never die. Rest in peace. Jimmy Cliff. You crossed many rivers, and today, you crossed your final one.